A year ago, the Pittsburgh Steelers had the game's best tailback receiver tandem. Ben Roethlisberger's best supporting cast and was expected to elevate Pittsburgh to its first Super Bowl appearance since 2010. But a concoction of failed NFL business, broken trust, and player conviction has forced the Steelers to rebuild both positions on the fly. After 837 catches, 11,207 yards, and 74 touchdowns together over 9 seasons, Antonio Brown and the Steelers initiated their split, in which Pittsburgh traded AB to the Raiders for 3rd and 5th round draft picks this year. If that was the best they can do, then they just wanted to cut the toxic energy on the team. And as I'm making this video, maybe that was the case. AB is in his feelings for no reason, sending shots at Juju for literally nothing. Aside from that, nearly 130 yards per game over 5 seasons, Le'Veon Bell and the Steelers have also ended on a bad note as well, thanks to Le'Veon's year-long holdout. Replacing one of those players is hard, replacing both players is a talent drain, but with prudent front office work, the Steelers can craft a blueprint to preserve the roster strength. Maybe this is the end of an era, perhaps the dynasty that has never passed without a Super Bowl, in which I put in the same boat as the Jim Harbaugh 49ers, due to contract disputes, drug suspensions, and all of the above. They shedded a pair of divas in receiver Antonio Brown and running back Le'Veon Bell. The Steelers have also parted ways with offensive coordinator Todd Haley last year because Ben Roethlisberger and him were not getting along, which also caused drama. So hopefully the Steelers have a fresh locker room next season. It's worth mentioning before diving into the skill players that can replace Bell and Brown, how dominant can the Steelers offense be in the coming season. They will be essential in creating space for James Conner and time for Roethlisberger to distribute the ball around the field. And even without Bell or Brown, the Steelers have playmakers. An offense centered around Juju Smith-Schuster, Conner, and James Washington should be just fine. Juju in particular seems ready to ascend into a leadership role after winning the team's MVP award in 2018. He's speaking openly about embracing the number 1 role for Pittsburgh in the event of Brown's departure. He's absolutely capable, but me personally, I don't think he's ready to be a number 1 receiver quite yet. The offense will have growing pains. Brown should be much more challenging to replace than Bell was, largely because receivers are generally harder to replace than running backs, but the Steelers are equipped to do so. If Tomlin gains more respect and Roethlisberger avoids conflict, something he struggled to do with Brown and Haley, the Steelers can find more success in 2019 even in a competitive AFC North and even without Bell and Brown. Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, 2 players who believe they were both tied down in bad situations with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The cause was slightly different, but both were unhappy and were vocal about it. The Pittsburgh Steelers aren't a better team without Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. The pair of draft picks they received for trading Brown to the Raiders and the money saved by parting ways with Bell could be used to upgrade the roster. But at the moment, Pittsburgh just lost a 2-time All-Pro running back and a 4-time All-Pro receiver, and don't have much to show for it. It's hard to blame Le'Veon too much for leveraging his situation to a trip to free agency without racking up much mileage. It's a little easier to blame Antonio, his issues with the Steelers that flared up late in the 2018 season and involved public complaints about Roethlisberger, who contributed to the team's demise by throwing teammates under the bus. Even if you support Le'Veon for chasing his pursuit of the open market, and even if you side with Antonio over Roethlisberger, and even if you think Roethlisberger always points the finger at everyone else but himself, there's no denying that some locker room issues for the Steelers just got ironed out. The relationship between Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown seems fractured beyond repair. The Pittsburgh Steelers could be drama-free in 2019. They can focus on football and not the tiers of highly paid athletes. No one really knows how the Steelers will move forward in 2019 without Bell and Brown, arguably the franchise's most talented players at their positions. Roethlisberger's leadership is also viewed as a problem and not part of the solution. You can get rid of AB if you want to. It'll be a mistake because you'll still be stuck with Ben Roethlisberger, who's really the root of the issue. This time last year, the Pittsburgh Steelers were coming off a 13-3 AFC North Championship season in which they dominated opponents through the air and on the ground, with what many consider the best offensive skill position players in the league. The big three of Pittsburgh, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and Ben Roethlisberger, were top 5 in yardage for rushing, receiving, and passing respectively, earning Pro Bowl honors for each of them. Despite a tough loss in a divisional round to the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Steelers went into the season with something to prove. Yet, here we are a year later. The Steelers are a team that missed the playoffs, mired in turmoil, with two of the best playmakers in the NFL now on different rosters, with Bell signed with the New York Jets in free agency and Brown traded to the Raiders. The future of the franchise rests on the shoulders of Ben Roethlisberger, and the Steelers will need to put together a strategy on how to move on without their departing talent. Whether the Steelers are better off is yet to be determined, but at least one fact is undeniable. The two playmakers contributed to a combined 2,409 touches for 19,322 yards and 116 touchdowns in their years in Pittsburgh.
Man, what did he do to make them niggas that mad?